Hello everyone and welcome again to my YouTube channel. Priska Samuel saying hello. How are we all doing? I hope we're doing great. I hope we're doing great. Okay, yes, I'm doing great as well. Thank you for asking. Okay, if today is your first time seeing my face here on YouTube, I create faith-based content and I make my uploads every week. So if you've not already subscribed, please do subscribe and hit that notification bell so you are notified of my weekly uploads here on YouTube. Okay, so guys, in today's video I will be sharing an experience I had years back on how God saved my life from the hands of kidnappers / ritualists. So if you want to hear this story, please stay with me and really watch till the end. Okay, first of all, I want to reach out to my mom. If she sees this video, I know I've never told her about this story. I don't remember telling her about this experience. So mommy, calm down. And I really want to thank my mom so much because I know in life their prayers really matter, and I know one of the reasons I escaped this tragedy or this incident is because of her prayers. So thank you, mommy. And mommy, calm down. Okay. All right, so one thing I must say is I never planned on sharing this story. As a matter of fact, it wasn't even, I didn't remember it, as in it's been a while since it crossed my mind. It's been years. I have actually totally forgotten about this experience. It was just only a few days back where I was praying and it was laid in my heart. The Holy Spirit reminded me of it, and at the point I was like, why? And then it occurred to me that I was to share it here on YouTube. I do not know why. I do not know who this message is for. But I really hope it blesses you. I hope it elevates your spirit. I hope you learn one or two lessons from this experience of mine. So this experience happened to me while I was in college years back. And I remember vividly it happened on a Sunday because I was on my way back from fellowship, cell meeting as we call it. Okay, I was on my way that evening. And so as a student back then, I had lots of side hustles, right? I had things I was doing to make extra cash, and it wasn't really because I wasn't giving enough money from home or I wasn't well taken care of. No, that was not the reason. The reason I had this side hustles was, one, to be independent, and two, because of the several things I was involved with. I didn't want to always ask my parents for extra cash. Okay, so this was one of the way I could meet most of these needs I had. Yes, so marketing perfume was one of it. So on this particular day, before leaving the house for fellowship with one of my closest friends, we had planned to market that evening because we usually market our perfumes, do our marketing majorly on weekends. Okay, so as I was leaving the house that evening, my roomies had said something about going out that Sunday evening to market perfumes. So on my way back from fellowship, I called them to confirm if they actually went along with the plan. And they said yes, that they told me where they were. So there was this popular junction that we usually market at. It's called Aroma Junction, okay, because it had lots of malls, lots of people, lots of activities. The secretariat was very close to that junction, so we had lots of marketing, like lots of people to market to. So it was a very very good spot for us. So we were we planned to meet at Aroma Junction. So me and my closest friend, we went straight to Aroma Junction while my other roomies met us there. Two of them met us at Aroma Junction, and so the marketing started. So while we were marketing, we did all our marketing, introducing our product, ourselves to people. And yes, it was this was happening around 6-7 p.m. right? So at the point we had stayed a while, so we decided to go home. But I think at that time we're still deciding, because some people, some of us had not made sales that day, that evening. So we're like, should we go home or should we just stay a little while so that everyone will make a little money before we go head home? So I remember we're deciding that from nowhere this lovely car just parked. I've forgotten the name of this car, but it was really a very nice car. It just parked along the way, just right in front of us. And I remember we're all like, this is a very good customer. This would be a prospective client, right? Who doesn't want to smell good? And this car looks expensive, so who is driving it might be interested in our product. So I approached the car. So in looking back now, in retrospect, I see the strangeness of what happened. But right there and then, I didn't really notice it. There were two guys in the car. One was driving, the very huge one was driving, and then the other dark guy by his side, he stepped down from the car and just opened the door so that I would talk with the driver. But it occurred to me that what usually happens is you stay in your car while we'll talk to you from outside, right? But this was totally different, and at the time I didn't even take note of it. I didn't see anything strange about it. Okay, so we're talking about my product. I introduced myself and we're talking. So he was like, oh, he's parked along the road. It's not safe for us to talk while he's parked. It was like a major road. So it made sense for him to say, okay, let's go somewhere else to talk about the product. So I told him, yes, no problem, but I wasn't alone, that I had my other friends with me who market the same product. And he was, oh, that's great, no problem, they can come along. So as it was, they came, I called my friends and they introduced themselves as well. And then I was the first person to get into that car. I entered the car. My friends followed. We all entered the car and the guy began to drive. And then what happened was, the first 5 minutes or so, we talked about ourselves, the product, how we were managing marketing with our studies, and how we were doing all the things we were doing. And he seemed interested in the product, especially the large 100 ml containers that we usually market as well. And that was the biggest one we had, which was going to give us lots of profits, right? So we're talking about it and the different fragrances we had, the collected samples to perceive and make a decision. Yeah, so while he was talking, he was like, oh, it's late, are we not going to go home? We said, yes, we're actually on our way home before we met them. And he now said, okay, he was going to drop us. So he offered to drop us at home, and then we started directing him on the route to take to drop us at home. And as he was going, he was supposed to make this left turn, right, to a street adjacent ours, okay? And all of a sudden, this was when everything changed. Like within a twinkle of an eye. He just made this very sharp, fast U-turn. And I was like, what's happening? I looked at my friends. I was like, what's happening? And we were about to say, no, that's not the road. And he was like, keep quiet. And that's for the first time. That was when the other guy sitting by his side spoke up, and he said, you guys are in trouble today. You guys are in trouble today. And he brought out a gun. Oh my God. When I saw that gun, I was like, it was as if I was in a dreamland or something. I was like, what's happening? And looking at my friends, you could see the tension on our faces, and everybody was in shock and at the same time confused as to what is happening here. So the next thing we started hearing were the two guys the two guys who were talking nicely, calmly, in a very loving manner. They just changed. And they were so rude. You guys are in trouble today. Why would you do this? Why would you do that? You guys are in trouble today. You have seen your end today. Oh my God. It wasn't funny at the time at all. Obviously, it wasn't funny. So I remember the only thing that I could do at that time, because it was obvious we were just in God's hands. It was late. You couldn't even scream, because probably you couldn't scream because everywhere was quiet. Not much people on the road. The windows were all wound up. And God, it was really scary. It was scary. And I was just thinking, who sent me? Who sent me to go and market perfume? Who sent me? It's not as if my parents did not give me money. Who sent? So at that time, lots of things were going on in my mind. But at the time, I remembered I started praying in my mind, praying in tongues, because I didn't even know the prayer point to pray. I didn't know what exactly was happening. It hadn't dawned on me at that time like this was what was happening. So I was just confused. And then the guy said we are in trouble, that they're going to take us somewhere. And I was like, yo, the guy was driving so fast. And I remember we were praying in tongues, and looking at my friends as well, I knew they were also praying. So that's how we're going, everybody was quiet, that we shouldn't talk anything. I mean, I was trying to play smart as well to see if I could reach my phone and send a message or so. But something just said, please better respect yourself. So I just suddenly dropped my phone. And that was what happened. And we're just going quietly, looking at ourselves like everybody was obviously in shock as to what was happening. Then just like that, I would never forget this statement he made, the one driving. I would never forget it. He said, just like that, just about when he was making another U-turn to take us back to where we're coming from actually. Then he now made a statement I will never ever forget. He said, you guys should go back and thank the God you serve. Whatever God you serve, go back and thank that God that you were spared tonight. Yo, I was like, God, what's happening? I was still in shock. So he said, okay, you guys put your phones in your bags and pass it on. The problem here at this time was, even when he said this, the other guy was not in agreement with it. He was like, what's he saying? That please, they should carry us and be going to where we are going to. That what's he saying? That why is he saying that? So they were both not in agreement, right? So I was like, hey, these people should just please not fight or something. And then finally we passed our bags to the front. Everyone with their phones in it, and they collected it, and they dropped us there was this very secluded area with bushes. It was bushy, it was muddy, and they dropped us there and said, once we step out of this car, we should walk towards that bush and not look back. We shouldn't make any sound, we shouldn't say anything, we should just respect ourselves and walk. In my mind at this point, because I was the first to get into the car, so I was the last to come out, so I was like, God, please let all of us come out of this alive. Let them not leave. Like when it's time for me to step out of the car, they now drive off. I was like, God, please, everybody should step out of this car. Everybody should step out of this car. And that was what happened. We stepped out and we started walking like zombies. Sorry to use that. We're walking like zombies, straight, face front, walking in slow motion, like nobody should make any awkward sound by mistake. And that's how we walked into that bush, and we kept walking. Even when we heard the sound of the car making that turn and driving off, we still kept on walking, just in case just in case they were still around. And that's what happened. But when after a while we all stopped and we looked at each other, we didn't even make a sound. We were talking to ourselves like in silence, like nobody had that. It hadn't dawned on us. It was still like we're like processing what just happened, and nobody had words to express the way they were feeling at the time. So we just looked at ourselves and we started finding our way back home. We were not with our phones, we were not with anything, we couldn't make any call. The road, the streets and the road where they dropped us was deserted and all that. So we just found our way home. And when we got home, we did exactly what he said we should do. We prayed. We thanked God for our lives. We thank God. And it took some days before it actually dawned on us that we're actually spared. Our lives were spared. This event changed my life. It made me see God. It introduced God to me on a different dimension. It made God more real to me. And I don't know why I'm sharing this, but the lessons I got from this experience that changed my life was to acknowledge God in all that I do. He's the reason I am here. He's the reason I live. And this experience would have gone bad. It could have been worse than it was. As in, what explanation there won't even be any explanation. There won't be a chance to explain. It was just God all by himself pulling us through this. And it turned my life around. It changed everything. And I remember one of the reasons why I didn't get that boldness to talk to my parents about it was because it was actually a foolish thing. Analyzing it, then it was foolish. Like, why would you go into a stranger's car? Why would you take a lift, like accept a lift from someone you don't even know? And it was a foolish thing to do. But aren't we lucky that God doesn't really look at the things we do as foolish when he comes to our aid? Because he's not like man. It's not like man that would say, oh, you did something wrong, you live with the consequences, sort of a thing like that. But God, his strength is made known in our weakness, especially in our weakness. So that experience made me see God for who he is to me. And I was so grateful. I am still so grateful for it. That he doesn't look at my foolishness. He doesn't serve me with the repercussions of it. So I'm really grateful. Another lesson this taught me, another thing is to trust God completely. Trust God even when you can't see him. Even when you don't see him in the situation, where just trust him 100%. 100%. And that's another thing. While I was in that vehicle that day, I was completely confused. There was nothing one could do. There was nothing one could do. The only person we could trust was God. There was nothing else we could do. And that really saved me. So no matter the situation you're in life, no matter how awkward it looks, how impossible that situation is, just trust God. Trust God to show up, because he always does. He said he will never forsake us. He will never leave us. And that is so true. This experience taught me that he will never leave me. He will never forsake me. Okay. Another thing, I understood the power of intercession. I do not know who was praying for me. I do not know who was praying for me at that time. But this taught me something else about intercession, that if God lays the name of someone in your heart to pray for them or a situation, do that. Do not delay, because you don't know how many souls you're saving at that time by just obeying and putting them in your prayers. Don't postpone those kind of things. Even if you do not know what you're praying for, just pray for them. I'm alive today. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. So no matter the situation you find yourself, trust God, acknowledge him, involve him in all that you do, and serve him with all of your heart. Serve him, give him your strength, give him your life, give him everything, surrender it all to him, and he will not fail you. He's too faithful to fail. So I don't know you watching this. I don't know what you're supposed to get out of this. I hope you get something out of this experience of mine. I hope it uplifts your spirit. I hope it edifies you in one way or the other. And you see God for who he really is. He's our Father. He's our friend. Thank you guys for sticking with me till now. I am so grateful. If you've not already subscribed, please do subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Okay, thank you so much. Till next time, remember that God is all that matters. I love you all. Thank you, and God bless.